How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Blade Bias. Today I have to talk about, well, I don't know why I said I have to talk about. Junior, you are not going, there's like a little, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little caterpillar right here, and it was just crawling up here, so he was just climbing around trying to see it. You are not going outside, sir. You are not ready for that yet. We have a little tent for him that my mom got me, specifically for Junior. It sits outside. It's just like a big tent. It's got a loop on it. We're going to take him out in it eventually, but he's still adjusting, so he's still a little scared. But once he gets a little more comfortable, we'll take him outside in the tent. But anyways, I have a package here from Ted. This was sent to me a while ago, and as some of you know, I've been moving. I've been trying to get a bunch of stuff figured out, so I haven't gotten the chance to talk about this. But the first thing in the package is the Zippy diode, which... this is not really the main focus of the package, so I won't really talk about it too much. The diode it's very, very cool. It's a build-it-yourself kind of balisong. You get the parts and you put it together yourself. It's incredibly cheap. Starts at $30, and then with some customization goes up to, I think, like 40 or 50. I really don't remember. But the base model being $30, I think is incredibly hype. Now, when you add some customizations, it gets up to the price around the price of the Edit Lite, around that $50 price point. And that is where it kind of falls apart, because there are a lot of things that vastly outperform this. But for the base price of $30, I think it's pretty solid. It's pretty cool. I do think something like the Nibali's Lightning, which sits at either 35 or 45. I think it's 45 actually. I think you're much better off spending the extra $15 to get one of those. What? I think he wants to play. He's been kind of bored today. I don't really have all his toys are like in a box somewhere. We haven't quite unpacked them yet, so I think he's kind of bored. But I'll fish something out for you after this video. But the diode is cool. It's too light for me personally. It is just generally, it's hard to do certain things because it just doesn't move like the way I want it to. When I throw it up in the air, it stays in the air for longer than I want it to. Nothing really goes, I don't know, it's just too light. It's hard to explain, but having a knife that is too light also has its problems. Like, everyone says, oh, this knife's too heavy for, like, when you try certain knives, oh, you know, the chab is too heavy for me, this thing is too heavy for me, I don't like it. It can be the same thing weight wise. You can have something that is too light and you can't flip it properly because it is too light and it does not carry the momentum the way you want it to. It does not respond the way you want it to, and the diode does that for me. I like plastic because I get cramps in my hands sometimes, and especially around my thumb, because a lot of the stuff I do requires me using my hands. So my hands get sore kind of, and I have to take a little break from flipping sometimes. And plastic is what if I do flip while I'm like letting my hands rest, I flip plastic because it's easier on my hands. So I like plastic, but the diode is too light. A good weight is like that 2.4 to 2.6 ounce range for plastic, which is where the Edit Lite sits. It's where the Calico and the Tay Flipper sit. It's where I want to say the Squiddy B is around that weight. So like that's a good plastic weight range is around that. This is also my first time flipping today, so a little rusty. But this is the more interesting one. Speaking of plastic, this is the Zippy handles for the Kershaw Lucha. I don't know how sharp this is, but I'm going to be careful because I really don't feel like cutting myself. I am over the point of, you know, oh, getting cuts is cool. Like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. So I don't really flip sharp knives. If I do flip live blades, they are dull. But this is the Zippy Lucha, and I don't know how to feel about this thing, because this thing is really, really cool, and it is one of the weirdest balisongs, because the Lucha blade is a very, very good, sturdy blade that makes an excellent EDC knife, but it's on plastic handles. Now, I think out of all of the Lucha mods, for the original Lucha at least, this one flips the best by far. The Titanium Lucha is probably second best from Flytanium. The Flytanium Titanium handles are probably second best. The aluminum handles were just a bit too, like, they just weren't very comfortable to me. And the stock handles are the stock handles, so it's ridiculously ass-heavy and just very chunky. But this, out of all of them, probably flips the best. It's the lightest out of all of them. It is maybe not the most comfortable. I think Ted said that Zippy has updated the handles since he made this one. So they should be a little more comfortable, because they are a little sharper on the edges. They're not quite as well polished as some of the other plastic designs Zippy has made, but like I said, I think he fixed that. I could be wrong though. Design-wise, these are very, very cool. I actually really like a lot of Zippy's, like, kind of inlay stuff that he does with printing, where he'll print the last layer in a different color so it creates this pattern. I love a lot of that stuff that Zippy does. But this is shockingly well balanced. It is a little goofy just because of the density and the momentum that plastic has, partnered with a steel blade. Junior, what are you doing? Okay. It is a little funky. It's not the best in the world. I still wouldn't flip this on a daily basis just like for fun. I still probably wouldn't. In fact, while I've had it, I've only flipped it a couple times because it is just a weird middle ground. But what it is very cool, right? If you have a stock Lucha that you bought a while ago and you don't touch it, the Zippy handles are probably the coolest mod you can do to it, and I think this is the most interesting version of the Lucha. But it's just so weird, because this is something that we've never seen before. We've never seen a metal blade. Granted, a very good metal blade. The blade on the Lucha is very, very nice. Kershaw makes amazing blades. But we've never seen a metal blade on plastic handles. And just recently, with the Swordfish, is one of the first times we've seen handles that have the same density as the blade, and this is even reversed. It's handles that have less density than the blade, because I mean, aluminum handles are technically like that, but aluminum still has enough of a density that you can't really tell too much. But this just feels so weird and interesting and just unique, and I am a huge person for uniqueness. Like, I don't care to have 5 knives that all perform the same. There's nothing going on. That's why half of my knives just sit in their case, is because they're not really that interesting. But the Zippy Lucha is very, very interesting, and I think it is one of the weirdest balisongs I've ever tried. It is something that I don't think really is, like, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Like, some people are saying, like, oh, the Swordfish is going to shake up the market, being all aluminum. It's going to kind of open the doors, and we're going to see a lot more all aluminum designs. I don't think plastic handles and a metal blade are going to be popular. I really don't think there's a place in the market for it, besides like 1 or 2 fun models. Like, I'm not saying this doesn't have a place, because this is really, really cool, and it being one of the only ones, as far as I'm aware, the only plastic handled, 3D printed handles especially, and metal blade, it has its own kind of special, like, uniqueness and its own kind of reason to have one, because it's a Zippy Lucha. There's only one, like, this is it. This is the only type of thing like this that exists. But if more companies start to make something like this, I really don't think it'll go anywhere. I think it's going to sell pretty poorly. And, like, if Squid were to make a trainer that had a steel blade and, like, squiddy type handles, I think it would flop. I just don't understand the point, especially if more things like that get introduced into the market. But the Zippy Lucha is one of the few things that really works. 1, because it's the first to do it, so it's fresh and it's very interesting. And 2, because it's the Lucha. a lot of people bought the Lucha because it's very cheap and it's very accessible, and just didn't like it. And that's for one reason or another. And the Zippy Lucha gives this some kind of personality. I feel like with a lot of the Lucha mods, they're competing against things that they are going to lose. That sentence made no sense, but what I'm getting at is, like, the titanium handles are cool. I think the real benefit there is just the price that it comes out to. It's like 200 something bucks for a new Lucha and the titanium handles. So for a titanium balisong with a good blade, it's pretty cheap. Flips good, I guess. For the aluminum Lucha, like the aluminum titanium handles, I don't really see the appeal to that, because it's just kind of like, it's a cool knife, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of like, when you compare its competitors, when you buy a new one, it's like 250 bucks, because I think the aluminum handles are 130, and what? And the you have to actually buy a Lucha, which is 120 brand new. And like, if you were to buy a new one, you're getting into the price of like a Nautilus. You're getting into the price well over the price of something like a Prisma. You're getting into the higher end of aluminum balisongs. Sometimes you can even find a Kraken for lower than that. So when you compare it to things like that, you kind of just lose. And I really, like, it just doesn't hold up to the competition at the price point it's at. But the Zippy Lucha is something that doesn't have any competition, which is why it's very cool, and why I think it is a really interesting product. And it is balanced surprisingly well, because I've tried every single version of the Lucha except for the every single main version of the Lucha. I've tried stock and all of the Flytanium options. I have not tried I know Spasm Fingers made a mod, and I know there's one other guy, Patient Zero, who's working on a mod. I don't think he ever released them. I could be wrong, but that thing has been in the works for years. But I have tried almost every version of the Lucha, and this is the only one that really seems interesting enough to warrant, like, having, I guess. Because I sold my Lucha not too long after I got it, because it was just like, it just does. I don't really need it. So this is one of the only versions of the Lucha that I think is cool enough to warrant having. Lucha itself, cool, nice, cool knife, good price. Wish it was just not like disgustingly heavy. But Zippy Lucha, very, very cool. Thanks to Ted for letting me try this out. Much appreciated. And yeah, that's kind of about it. Thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you all again very soon. Say bye, Junior. Say bye. There you go. Peace out.